All right, so we've just been through the women's draw for Indian Wells. Now we're going to get to the men's side of things, and it's pretty stacked and some crazy matchups in the early parts of the tournament. Let's get to the players that are not playing because there is a long withdrawal list. Okay, so on the men's side of things, there is a long withdrawal list. Starting with Grigspor, he's been forced to pull out, getting injured last week in Dubai. Mahatch, he's also not playing. Martinez also not playing. Misalic has also pulled out. Muller's pulled out. Munar's pulled out. Runer's not playing. Shang is not playing. Sonigo's not playing, and Spaziri is also pulled out. So, pretty long list there and some pretty, important names. Runer obviously hasn't been playing for a while because of the Achilles. Grigspor, unfortunately, just had a really good week and then got injured. Mahatch is not there, so yeah, it's a bit disappointing that we're not going to see some of those players, but there are still big names playing, so let's get to the top of the draw. All right, so here's the top of the draw. We've got 32 seeds in this one, and everyone gets a bye in the first round, starting with Alcaraz. He is the number 1 seed, and he's won this tournament a couple of times. He gets a bye in the first round. He'll take on the winner of Atman or Dimitrov in the second round, and that could be really awkward for Alcaraz, especially if it's Dimitrov. So we'll see how that goes. Then you got Juan Manuel Cerundolo taking on Van der Zandschulp. Winner of that will take on the number 26 seed Rinderknecht in the second round. Then you got the 24th seed Vachereau. He'll take on either Borges or Nava in the second round. Then you got Shevchenko taking on a qualifier. Winner of that match will take on the number 13 seed Ruud in the second round. I'll tell you, it's not the easiest draw for Alcaraz. Luckily, he's playing the best, or he's in the best form he's been in to start a season so far. But there are some tricky names there. Of course, you've got to watch about Alcaraz. He's coming off back-to-back titles, winning the Australian Open and then winning Doha, and he looked phenomenal in Doha, and especially in the final when he beat Fee. So you've got to watch over him. Also got to watch over Ruud. It feels like this tournament is a tournament that he could do well at, but he hasn't really, performed great at Indian Wells yet, like make a final or anything like that. So, I don't know. Maybe this is the year for him. Also got to watch over Rinderknecht. Very, very dangerous player, especially against Alcaraz. They played in Doha and almost went to 3 sets, so definitely a tricky one for Alcaraz. Also Vachereau. He wins in Shanghai, which is a slow hard court. Indian Wells is a slow hard court, so really keen to see how he can do on this kind of court and these kind of conditions. But the unseeded players, you've got to watch out for Dimitrov. We know he can beat Alcaraz. He's done it before, so very, very dangerous second round matchup potentially. And also Van der Zandschulp. He's also very dangerous against guys like Alcaraz, and he beat Djokovic here in Indian Wells last year. So very, very dangerous draw there for Alcaraz, and very, very sketchy if he does have to play some of those names. Next part of the draw, we've got the number 10 seed Bublik. Gets by in the first round. He'll take on either Zhang or Cazot in the second round. Then you got 2 qualifiers going at it. Winner of that match will take on the number 20 seed Daderi in the second round. Then you got the number 27 seed Norrie. He'll take on either Rinaldi or a qualifier in the second round. Then you got Korda taking on Comasanya. Winner of that will take on the number 6 seed Demonor in the second round. So this is interesting. Interesting draw here, especially it feels like the Australian Open draw because, we had Bublik and Demonor playing the 4th round, winner to play Alcaraz. So it has a bit of an Australian Open feel about it. Got to watch out for Demon. Hasn't been playing great. I mean, he won Rotterdam, but he didn't play great in Acapulco last week. He lost a pretty bad upset for him in that first round, so looking to rebound in this one. Also got to watch out for Bublik. Has, got out of Dubai before everybody else got stuck, which is, lucky for him. But he has been pretty good the last couple of tournaments, so, let's see if he can translate that onto the slower hard courts. Also got to watch out for Daderi. He's been very good on the clay courts in South America, so coming back onto the hard courts for the first time since the Australian Open. We'll see how he can translate that clay court tennis onto these hard courts. But the unseeded players, you've got to watch out for Korda. He just won in Delray Beach a couple weeks ago, and we know how good he can be on the hard courts, and especially here, he's had some really interesting matches here before. So yeah, got to watch out for Korda as well as the unseeded, probably the dangerous unseeded player in this section. Next part of the draw, we've got the number 3 seed Djokovic. He gets a bye in the first round. He'll take on either Maishak or Pirikar in the second round. Then you've got Hurkacz taking on Kovacevic. The winner of that match will take on the number 31 seed Mute in the second round. Then you've got the number 19 seed Cerundolo. He'll take on either Roya or a qualifier in the second round. Then you've got Marichan taking on Batista Agut. The winner of that match will take on the number 14 seed Draper in the second round. So that's going to be really interesting to see because Draper, of course, is the defending champion and very, tough draw for him to come back. He hasn't played that much tennis either. But of course, you've got to watch out for Djokovic. He had a, bad loss here last year. Like I said, he lost to Van der Zandschulp and, he made the Australian Open final. He skipped over playing Doha. He was supposed to be going there, but he didn't play there. So we haven't seen him since that Australian Open. We'll see how he does in this draw and at this tournament. Of course, you've got to watch out for Draper as well, defending champion. Hasn't played much, so it's hard to know whether or not he's going to be able to be, playing well here, but still got to watch out for him. Also got to watch out for Cerundolo. Has been playing on the clay courts in South America the last couple of weeks with, some good results. So confidence has got to be pretty high, but, we'll see if he can translate that back onto the hard courts for this week. And then the unseeded players. Got to watch out for Pirikar. We know how dangerous he can be. I know the serve might not work as well on this surface, but it'd be fun to see him play Djokovic. And Hurkacz. You got to watch over Hurkacz as well. We know how good he can be on the hard courts as well. So definitely got to watch over Hubie as well in this section. Next part of the draw now, we've got the number 11 seed Medvedev. He gets a bye in the first round. He'll take on either Tabilo or Hodar in the second round. Then he got a qualifier taking on Baez. The winner of that match will take on the number 22 seed Lehechka in the second round. Then you got the number 25 seed Tien. He'll take on either a qualifier or Mickelson in the second round. Then you got Fernley taking on Juma. Winner of that will take on the number 7 seed Fritz in the second round. And this section feels a little bit stacked, especially considering we don't know if Medvedev's going to make it here. Hopefully, by the time you watch this video, by the time we start the tournament, Medvedev has made it over to Indian Wells, but he is currently stuck in Dubai. But you got to watch out for him. You got to watch out for Fritz as well. Obviously, defending champion here back in 2022, or a former champion here. So definitely got to watch out for him. I'd love to see him play Medvedev. Medvedev Fritz right now would be really, really fun. Obviously, got to watch out for Tien as well. Very dangerous on the hard courts. Let's see if he can push Fritz and maybe play Medvedev again. We know how crazy that rivalry is. But some of the unseeded players, I'll be watching out for Tabilo. Has been playing really well on the clay court, but we know how good he can be on all surfaces, and very, very scary matchup for Medvedev in that second round. And I'll also be watching out for Hodar, because I think, as one of the young players on the tour, it's a great opportunity for him to potentially play Medvedev on a big court and see how he can maybe play Medvedev in that second round. Bottom half of the draw now, we've got the number 5 seed Musetti. He gets a bye in the first round. He'll take on either Fucsovics or a qualifier in the second round. Then we've got 2 qualifiers going at it. Winner of that match will take on the number 30 seed Feast in the second round. Then you got the 17th seed Rublev. He'll take on either Bellucci or Diallo in the second round. Then you got Monfils taking on a qualifier. Winner of that match will take on the number 9 seed Auger-Aliassime, who did get out of Dubai just in time before everything shut down. So he is going to be at Indian Wells. He made it across. But you got to watch over Musetti. Hasn't had the greatest start to the year. He was pretty good in Australia. He was pretty good in the very start of the year. But the last couple of weeks, obviously got injured at the Australian Open, unfortunately, when he was beating Djokovic. So we'll see how he looks, coming back from injury. Also got to watch over Auger-Aliassime. He has been in great form. Post-Australian Open, he had the opposite thing, where he did retire also at the Australian Open, but he lost first round there, or retired first round. And since then, he has been on a tear. So FAA is in great form at the moment. Also got to watch over Feast. Had a great run in Doha, coming back from injury, eventually losing to Alcaraz, but Alcaraz obviously is on another planet right now. But Feast is, opportunity for him. He did have a good match here against Medvedev. I think it was last year in this tournament. Also Rublev. He's stuck with Medvedev at the moment in Dubai, so we'll keep tracking his movements over the next couple of days, whether or not he actually does make it here. But yeah, Rublev is also, obviously one to watch. He's been playing pretty well lately. But the unseeded players, it's Monfils. You got to watch out for him. His last Indian Wells event, he's come in as a wild card. So we'll see how he does in this tournament. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting draw. I feel like it's, kind of open here. Next part of the draw now, we've got number 15 seed Caboli. Gets a bye in the first round. He'll take on either Altmaier or Kecmanovic in the second round. Then you got Brooksby taking on Popyrin. Winner of that will take on the number 21 seed Tiafoe in the second round. Then you got the 28 seed Nakashima. He'll take on either Carabelli or Dam in the second round. Then you got Berrettini taking on Manarino. Winner of that match will take on the number 4 seed Zverev in the second round. This is an interesting draw because if you watched last week Acapulco, Zverev lost early and Caboli and Tiafoe was the final. So we could get a rematch of the final of Acapulco in the third round. So that should be really fun, of course. Go watch over Zverev. Hasn't done overly great at Indian Wells, which is kind of a shame because you would have thought the slower courts would favor his game maybe, but yeah, he hasn't won this title before yet, but maybe this is an opportunity. He has had some, had some runs here, quarters and semis, but we'll see if he can keep going. Obviously got to watch out for Caboli. Had a great win last week in Acapulco and had a great run there, so let's see if that confidence translates. Also Tiafoe, getting back into some form, making a final last week in Acapulco. We'll see if he can get through Caboli this time around, and he has done well here before Tiafoe. Some of the unseeded players though, Berrettini, got to watch out for him. We know how dangerous he can be on all courts. Also Popyrin, if he can get it together, maybe he can have a bit of a run here. And also Kecmanovic. He beat Zverev last week in Acapulco, so he's got to have a little bit of confidence as well coming into this draw. So this is going to be really interesting how this one also pans out. It feels like, this quarter, the Zverev quarter feels like it's pretty open. Next part of the draw, we've got the number 8 seed Shelton. Gets a bye in the first round. He'll take on either Opelka or Quinn in the second round. And then we've got Alice taking on Walton. Winner of that will take on number 32 seed Humbert in the second round. Then you've got the number 18 seed Davidovich for Kina. He'll take on either Schweider or Cilic in the second round. Then you've got Navone taking on Giron. Winner of that match will take on the number 12 seed Menchik in the second round. So really fun to see this draw here because there are a couple of dangerous unseeded players, but it feels like the seeded players are the ones to watch in this section. Starting with Shelton, got to watch out for him. You know, he did win Dallas a couple weeks ago, so got a good trophy for himself this week, or this year, and he's looking to do some damage here at home in America. Also got to watch out for Menchik. Obviously just beat Sinner in Doha, one of the biggest wins of his career. And I don't know how he's going to translate that onto the slower surfaces here, but he did win Miami last year, so we'll see whether or not he can go and try and win Indian Wells to add to that Miami trophy from last year. Also got to watch out for Davidovich Fokina. We know how dangerous he can be on all surfaces, especially hard courts, and it will be interesting to see how he can play this one out. For the unseeded players, though, I'd be watching out for Opelka with that big serve, always dangerous, and also watching out for Cilic. He could be very dangerous as well, even though he's one of the veterans of the tour these days. Very, very dangerous as well. In the bottom part of the draw now, we've got the number 16 seed Hashanov. He'll get a bye in the first round. He'll take on either Fonseca or Collignon in the second round. Then you've got Bergs taking on Struff. The winner of that match will take on the number 23 seed Paul in the second round. Then you've got the 29th seed Echeverry. He'll take on either Tsitsipas or Shapovalov in the second round, which is a crazy first round. Then you've got a qualifier taking on Duckworth. The winner of that will take on the number 2 seed Sinner in the second round. So, I mean, look, doesn't feel like an overly tough draw for Sinner, considering, you know, Hashanov is stuck in Dubai with Medvedev and Rublev. You know, Echeverry's been playing clay lately, so, you know, you would give Sinner the advantage on hard courts. Tommy Paul could be interesting, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like Sinner's got a nicer draw than maybe Alcaraz has. But, of course, got to watch out for Jannik Sinner playing this tournament for the first time in 2 years. Has been stopped by Alcaraz at this tournament in the last couple. So he'll be looking to go one better and, you know, try and win this title and try and close the gap between him and Alcaraz at number 1. Also got to watch out for Echeverry. He's been in good form on the clay courts. We'll see if he can translate that onto the hard courts. Of course, got to watch out for Hashanov as well. If he can make it here, he's stuck with, you know, Rublev and Medvedev. And by the time this comes out, maybe that's changed. But yeah, definitely got to watch out for him as well. And Tommy Paul. He's been very dangerous at this tournament before as well. But some of these unseeded players, got to watch out for Tsitsipas. Very weird to see him unseeded in a big tournament like this. And also, you got to watch out for Fonseca. You know, he just won I know it's an exhibition, but he just won an exhibition tournament in Vegas a couple of days ago. So really fun to see how he does here because, you know, it feels like if he can get through the first couple of matches, that Sinner fourth round is legit. And he could play Sinner in the fourth round. Tommy Paul might be the biggest threat, though. He might have to, you know, try and take out Paul, but I don't know. Fonseca Sinner, maybe it's more likely than it was at the start of the year when they were supposed to play in the third round of Australia. But unfortunately, Fonseca wasn't 100% back then. So maybe we'll get that matchup we want in this tournament. So there it is. That's the draw for Indian Wells. Pretty interesting. Couple of, you know, first couple of rounds there. Of course, a lot of more dangerous unseeded plays, it feels like, on the men's side than the ladies' side, which is, you know, not usual for the ATP side of things. But let me know in the comments below if you're watching this video later. Who's going to win this tournament? Is it Alcaraz? I mean, it's Alcaraz and the rest, right? It's Alcaraz's tournament to lose. He's in great form right now. He loves playing here. He's won this tournament twice. He made the semis last year, you know, lost to Draper. So it's going to be interesting. Who can beat Alcaraz? That's going to be the question. Can Sinner win it? I mean, he hasn't had the greatest start to the year, but then again, he has lost to Djokovic and Menchik, and they're not, you know, totally random, but he'll be looking to get some form. And maybe it's somebody else. Maybe we do get a different champion. Maybe it is like what happened with Draper last year, where he was the champion, and maybe we didn't pick him to win it at the start of the tournament. But there it is, Indian Wells, and it starts on Wednesday.